Hi, beautiful people. Enjoy this episode of Genesis of Lands. Watch, listen, and learn. And don't forget to subscribe. Ciao, ciao.
There's a town in Africa where the ocean meets the sand, where people celebrate a special religion that connects them to nature, to their ancestors, and to spirits that guide them. Where once, a very long time ago, something terrible happened that the whole world needs to remember. This is Ouidah, a quiet coastal town in the country of Benin, a place where two very different stories live side by side. One story is about a beautiful spiritual tradition called Vodun that has existed for thousands of years. The other story is about one of the saddest chapters in human history. But here's what makes Ouidah special. Instead of forgetting the sad parts, the people decided to remember them. They built monuments. They created a path. They teach their children and visitors what happened. Because they believe that when we remember the past, even the painful parts, we make sure it never happens again. So how did this small beach town become both the birthplace of a religion and the place where over 1 million people said goodbye to Africa forever? Let me tell you about Vodun first. That's the word for a very old religion that started in this part of West Africa. You might have heard people call it voodoo, but that's actually a different name that came later. The proper name is Vodun, and it means spirit in the local languages. Vodun is a bit like how some people believe in angels or saints, except in Vodun, people believe in many different spirits that live in nature. There's a spirit of the ocean, a spirit of the forest, a spirit of the wind, a spirit that helps with healing, a spirit that protects travelers. Spirits for almost everything you can imagine. The most important spirit is called Mawu. She's like a grandmother spirit, kind, wise, and loving. She created everything in the universe. Then she had children spirits who helped take care of different parts of the world. One famous spirit is called Legba. He's imagined as a very old wise man who walks with crutches. Legba is special because he's like a doorkeeper. Before you can talk to any other spirit, you have to ask Legba to open the door first. He stands at crossroads and helps messages get through. Another important spirit is Dan, the rainbow serpent. People imagine Dan as a huge, beautiful snake that holds up the whole earth. In Ouidah, there's even a temple of pythons where real snakes live. People believe these snakes are sacred messengers of the spirits. In Vodun, people show respect to spirits by making offerings. They might give flowers, pour special drinks on the ground, or say prayers. Vodun priests and priestesses spend years learning how to communicate with the spirits and help people in their communities. What's really cool about Vodun is that it teaches people to respect nature. Trees are sacred. Rivers are sacred. Animals are sacred. Everything in nature has a spirit and deserves to be treated with care. Every year on January 10th, Ouidah hosts a huge Vodun Festival. Thousands of people come from all over the world. They wear colorful costumes. They dance to drums. They sing ancient songs. Some people enter special trances where they believe spirits are speaking through them. It's one of the biggest spiritual celebrations in all of Africa. But here's something important to know. For a long time, people from Europe and America didn't understand Vodun. They made up scary stories about it. They called it black magic or dark sorcery. But that's not true at all. Vodun is about community, healing, respect for nature, and honoring ancestors. It's a beautiful tradition that has helped people for thousands of years. Now I need to tell you the other story about Ouidah. This one is much sadder. But it's important to know. Starting around the 1600s, something terrible was happening all over the world. People from Europe needed workers for huge farms in faraway places like America, Brazil, and the Caribbean. Instead of paying people fairly to work, they decided to steal people from Africa and force them to work for free. This horrible practice is called slavery. Ouidah became one of the biggest places where this terrible thing happened. Ships from Portugal, England, France, and other countries would come to Ouidah's coast. Local rulers who wanted to get rich would capture people from villages in the interior, sometimes during wars, sometimes just by raiding peaceful communities. They would bring these captured people to Ouidah and sell them to European traders. The people who were captured weren't criminals. They were farmers, teachers, craftspeople, parents, children, just regular people living their lives. And suddenly they were stolen from their homes and families. In Ouidah there was a big market square called Place Chacha. That's where captured people were auctioned off like objects instead of being treated like human beings. Families were separated. Children were taken from their mothers and fathers. It was absolutely heartbreaking. After being sold, the captives had to walk about 2.5 miles from the town center to the beach. This walk is now called the slave route. Along this route, terrible things happened that were meant to make people forget who they were. There was a tree called the Tree of Oblivion. Captured men were forced to walk around this tree 9 times. Captured women had to walk around it 7 times. According to the cruel practice, this was supposed to make them forget their homeland, their culture, their identity. The slave traders wanted to erase people's memories so they wouldn't try to escape or fight back. Next was a place where people had to wait for the ships to arrive. Sometimes they waited for days or weeks in terrible conditions. Then there was the Memorial of Zangbaji, a mass grave where people who died while waiting were buried. Finally, there was the Tree of Return. This was the last tree people saw before reaching the beach. According to Vodun beliefs, even though their bodies were being taken away, their spirits would return to Africa after they died. This small belief gave people a tiny bit of hope in an utterly hopeless situation. At the end of the route is the beach. And on that beach today stands a monument called the Door of No Return. It's a big concrete arch painted red, white, and yellow, the colors of the sand and sunset. On one side of the arch, there are pictures carved into the concrete showing enslaved people in chains, walking toward waiting ships. On the other side, the pictures show them walking away from Africa, with just a single tree in the distance representing the homeland most of them would never see again. Bronze statues stand near the door. They show people in chains staring out at the ocean. There's also a cement figure called an igungun, a traditional masked spirit that represents departed ancestors. The monument was built in 1995 by the government of Benin with help from UNESCO. They wanted to make sure the world never forgets what happened here. Between the 1600s and 1800s, over 1 million people were forced onto ships from Ouidah Beach. Can you imagine 1 million people? That's like taking everyone from a big city and shipping them away forever. From Ouidah alone. And this was happening in many other places along Africa's coast too. The journey across the ocean was called the Middle Passage. It was horrible. People were packed into ships so tightly they could barely move. Many got sick. Many died. Those who survived arrived in strange lands, didn't speak the language, and were forced to work for no pay for their entire lives. But here's something amazing. Even though these people were stolen from their homes, even though they were treated terribly, they didn't lose who they were completely. They brought their beliefs, their music, their stories, and their Vodun religion with them. In Haiti, Vodun became Vodou. In Brazil, it influenced a religion called Candomblé. In Louisiana and America, it became Louisiana Voodoo. In Cuba, it influenced Santeria. All these religions came from the original Vodun of Benin. So even though people were taken from Africa, their spirits and beliefs traveled with them and survived. Today, if you visit Ouidah, you can walk the slave route. You'll see all the monuments along the way. You'll end at the Door of No Return. And standing there on the beach, you can think about all the people who stood in that exact spot hundreds of years ago, looking back at their homeland for the last time. But here's the really important part. The Door of No Return isn't just about sadness anymore. It's also become a door of return. Many people whose ancestors were taken from Africa during slavery have come back to Ouidah to visit. They come from America, Brazil, the Caribbean, and other places. They're coming home, in a way, to connect with where their families originally came from. During the Vodun Festival, you'll see black people from all over the world visiting Ouidah. Some of them have traced their family history back to Benin. They're reconnecting with the Vodun religion. They're honoring their ancestors. They're reclaiming the heritage that was almost stolen from them. The government of Benin is working hard to restore and protect these historical sites. They want to make sure every generation learns what happened. They've rebuilt monuments. They've created museums. They've trained guides to tell the story accurately. In 2022, they even started building a big memorial complex called the Marina Project near the Door of No Return. It will have museums, gardens, and spaces for ceremonies. It's meant to help people learn about the slave trade but also celebrate the African diaspora, all the people with African roots who now live around the world. The people of Benin believe something important. You can't change the past, but you can choose how to remember it. They chose to face the painful history head-on, to build monuments to the suffering, to teach their children what happened, and also to celebrate the survival, the strength, and the beautiful culture that persisted despite everything. Ouidah teaches us several important lessons. First, that terrible things happened in history and we shouldn't pretend they didn't. Second, that even in the darkest times, people's spirits and cultures can survive. Third, that remembering the past helps us make better choices in the future. When you walk through Ouidah today, you'll see a peaceful town. Kids play in the streets. Fishermen bring in their catch. Markets sell fruit and vegetables. The ocean waves roll onto the beach just like they always have. But if you pay attention, you'll also see the monuments. the Python temple where sacred snakes live, the museums filled with artifacts, the door of no return standing as a reminder, the Vodun shrines where people still pray to the spirits. 2 stories. 1 town. Sadness and strength. Pain and perseverance. Tragedy and triumph. So here's a question for you. Why is it important to remember sad things from history? Wouldn't it be easier to just forget? The people of Ouidah say no. They say remembering is how we honor the people who suffered. Remembering is how we make sure we never let something like slavery happen again. Remembering is how we understand where we came from. And remembering is how we appreciate freedom when we have it. When you learn about Ouidah, you're not just learning about a town in Africa. You're learning about courage, about memory, about how people can face horrible truths and choose to turn them into lessons for everyone. Ouidah, the town that remembers, where Vodun spirits dance in the forests, where ancestors are honored with festivals, where a door stands on a beach to remind us of 1 million journeys that should never have happened, where descendants return to reconnect with roots that go deeper than any ocean. The next time you see the ocean, remember Ouidah. Remember the people who were forced to cross it. Remember the culture they carried with them. Remember the spirits they believed in. Remember that history, even when it's painful, deserves to be known, honored, and never forgotten. Because when we remember together, we make sure that love is stronger than hate, that truth is stronger than lies, and that no matter how dark the past, the human spirit can find its way back to the light. That's the real magic of Ouidah. Not spooky voodoo dolls from scary movies, but real magic. The magic of memory, the magic of respect, the magic of a people who refuse to let their story be erased, and the magic of believing that even when terrible things happen, beauty, dignity, and hope can survive.